Welcome into the first part of a three-part series. I'm Chief Editor Jordan Bishop, and I'm joined by Jim. How are you doing, Jim?
Hi, Jordan. Thanks for having me.
Good to have you, Jim. So we've got three topics of discussion, three very important topics. I'm going to try and get as much out of you as I can, Jim. I know you're a bit of closed book when it comes to this stuff, but let's jump into it. So first, I wanted to address the feel of everything this year. I mean, we have to talk about the elephant in the room, right? COVID, right. The holidays, the election. How did you get through it? I mean, you're here, you're thriving.
Right.
How was it for you?
Well, I mean, personally, on a health basis, I think I probably had it twice. And one of the, I take good care of myself. I mean, my point of view, my best vaccine has always been my health, my natural immune system. And I think readers know there's a smoothie I take, a cocktail of things, and natural health. And so hasn't affected me. Health-wise, anyway. I mean, business-wise, obviously, it's added some additional considerations, but also additional being really opportunities is what has come, from this. And I think that's what I think most people they'll act like sheep. And they will just go with the herd and what the media tells them to do, and that's what actually creates the best opportunities.
Right.
For example, there's been amazing opportunities in really all of it. I mean, even in business included. I mean, it's not all businesses have been hit. Some businesses have gone. Just take Zoom for example, video conferencing, just as one example. It's created opportunities. It's stocks for sure. I mean, from that when the whole thing started, we had that big drop, and everything gets thrown out because of just this blind panic that people are being used by the media, and they're just a bunch of sheep, and that's what creates amazing opportunities that have also been created this year. It's also been an opportunity to reevaluate yourself, your life, your business, how you do things, and you come out the other side stronger. I think the real decision anyone has to make is, do I want to be one of the sheep and get fleeced, or do I want to be one of the people who can see past that and not just, blindly stare at the television and what the media is telling them to do, and have this groupthink mentality. That if you want to be a player, if you want to make proper money, you have to get out of that mindset.
Yeah, absolutely. And you bring up Zoom, and I just want to touch on them real quick because they were the perfect example of maneuvering with the conditions, right? Because they could have just sat on their hands like a lot of other businesses did, but they actually opened up their model for free for everybody. Right. So they took people in, they innovated. Such a simple switch for them as well. Yeah. But that a lot of the businesses that have survived have had to do that, have had to adapt small tweaks. Yeah.
That's it, and it separates the men from the boys. Do you run and hide, start and cry? Or do you look for the angle, the crack in the systems becomes wider at times like this.
Yeah.
And you know what they say, when the tide goes out, you see he's been swimming naked, and that's a lot of this business is just failing because they were weak in the first place.
Yeah.
And like I say, you have a decision to make. How are you going? How do you respond to there's this show that goes on that the media put on this show, and they've been loving it, of course. I mean, they've had a great time in 2020. They've had an election, they've had COVID,
ad clicks.
Like you name it. I mean, it's just clickbait central, and of course the whole time that the media can keep you in this panicked state, you're the proverbial deer stuck in the headlights, and you need to act. You need to move and see the opportunity, and and that's really been the difference in this whole thing. And I'd like to think is the difference between our viewers as well.
Yeah.
But it's also having the right mindset is one thing, but then to be honest, then you also do have to have an inside track here and there, some contacts, be in the know, right place at the right time as well.
Right, yeah, and that takes us into the first specific topic, because we want to talk about, we're talking about don't miss out on things that are going up, and Bitcoin and cryptocurrency has just been insane the last few months, really. I mean, it's just skyrocketed. It's almost become a safe haven as the dollar's sort of sunk.
Right, as we've been saying.
Exactly, yeah.
For I don't know how long now.
Yeah.
But again, timing is everything, but as a general thing, what we've been saying for years now, I think.
Yeah.
Is that, this is going to change everything in the same way that the internet changed everything.
Right.
Think internet in 1995.
Yeah.
That's where we are right now with blockchain and cryptocurrencies.
I mean, we were talking about this 2-3 years ago at the seminars,
absolutely,
even just back when
to us it's old news, but to lots of other people it's it's new news.
Right.
And even then, most people don't really get it.
Yeah. And I mean, you've been guiding people along the whole way as well. It's not just, we didn't just say Bitcoin's going to be big, just buy blindly, because obviously, like you said, there's ups and downs. So you actually called the breakout that it had on the 6th of November of last year.
Correct.
It's now up of 2020.
2020, yeah.
Yeah, it's now up over 140%. How did you predict such an accurate move, and who did you tell about this?
Well, I mean, I know, you do a great job, and you're always giving picks, and I know you've done, you've talked a lot about Bitcoin, and we do a lot at the seminars. That particular thing you're speaking about is, to be honest, that's, like I was mentioned before, there are contacts, there are insiders, if you will, that some things are just, I have privy to. In that particular instance, I have a friend in the actual blockchain association who knows things, and timing is everything.
Right. And a lot of the viewers won't know this, but there's actually a law that's protecting them and us. That means you can't. The information that you're acting on isn't necessarily the exact same information we put out, because we're not allowed to. So the clause says that if we put something out, we're not allowed to act on that information, because it could be a part of a pump and dump scheme where we get in something, the viewers buy something. Obviously, we're not looking to do that. We're looking to bring the best money-making opportunities. But so you're acting on information from your sources that we necessarily can't put out there in the public. Right. Is that correct? Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, just paraphrase again what you've just said. Yeah. I mean, usually we're speaking about what you're doing. You're doing a great job. To be honest, I mean, I'm, without wishing to sound, arrogant, I mean, I'm on a different level when it comes to the sort of information I'm privy to. And yeah, I mean, to be honest, I can't, so I'm not going to, I can't trade or anything that we officially put out to our subscribers like you're giving out. So, yeah, things like that, I'm going to act on myself.
Right.
And, my close friends or whatever my circle, as it were, but I can't put anything out to the pub, to our customers like that. No.
Right. So once it becomes public, then you've sort of crossed that.
Yeah, even to our subscriber base.
Yeah. Of course. I mean, that doesn't take away from any of the information that I've been
right. No,
sending
you'll
out
be doing a great job as well. But I'm just saying, there's certain things. There's another level that I move in, as it were.
Right. Yeah. So based on all this, based on your sources, can you reveal if Bitcoin is a buy, hold, or sell today?
No, I mean, you can. Okay. But anything I'm going to talk about, like you just said, which is why I don't think you I don't know if you did that call. If it was a coincidence. But I'm certainly not going to reveal my my sources. No.
Right. Yeah. That makes sense. Like I said, I won't pry too hard. But so you said your friend who's in the blockchain association. You can't reveal who that person is. We can't send them to. No. Okay.
I mean, you got to understand. There's look. I mean, let's all be. We're all sitting at the big boy table now. As you brought the subject up. There are. Someone's doing you a favor.
Right.
They expect to be. It's a quid pro quo kind of thing. I'll do them favors. They're taking them into their confidence, and you don't blow that trust or their sources, unless like I say, your little circle is fine, but we don't go public, officially, massively public on certain information.
I'm sure they wouldn't be very happy if they saw you on camera.
Well, it'll be the last time I had any inside information. Put it that way.
Yeah. So all right, let's talk. Let's go. I guess bigger picture. Then we'll get out of the specifics. So long-term vision for Bitcoin. Just you yourself, maybe. Where do you see it? I mean, we've spoken about this a dozen times. I can hopefully pull that out.
Yeah, I mean, you just can't put a ceiling on it. I mean, remember there was a limited, I forget the number now, but there was a finite number of Bitcoin in circulation.
Yeah.
And that's it. But it's again, what you hear in the headlines all the time is Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Bitcoin. And what you actually should be hearing in the headlines is blockchain, blockchain, blockchain.
Right.
Because remember, I've made this comparison before, but think of like back in the 90s, the internet really was the thing, not a particular website.
Right.
I mean, and Bitcoin, it wasn't like Yahoo or eBay. It was the internet. That's what's facilitating the whole thing. Bitcoin is just like one currency.
So like Amazon back in the day.
Right,
Bitcoin would be the Amazon.
And not all these cryptocurrencies will survive. It just so happens right now that because Bitcoin was the first,
right,
and that is the trailblazer, and it's the one that gets the most attention. So it's the most heavily traded, the most capitalized, and so on, things like that. But the real focus is blockchain and what it can do,
right,
and how it's facilitating this whole thing.
Right.
So I can't put a cap on blockchain. I mean, the potential is vast, but I do know is that this is going to change the way we do business, the way we carry out our lives, in the same way that the internet did. But I would say focus on the blockchain, and now we're looking at cryptocurrencies, different ones, the same way we looked at different websites in terms of what problem do they solve, like a website,
Right.
And that's one thing to look out for in the coming years is going to be, well, there's going to be some currencies are just, there's a scam, it's nonsense, right? Just like it was back in the .com. Think .com.
Yeah.
All over again.
I mean, one unfamiliar or unexpected contender to sort of fall by the wayside could be actually the US dollar. I mean, right now, since
that's what's going on. Yeah,
since March,
gold and Bitcoin are both alternative currencies. And since we, to be fair, you had COVID, and so that accelerated it.
Right.
But even before COVID, the reserve currency was basically being run by a banana republic government.
Yeah.
And it's probably only going to get worse now because you've got a shift towards the left, which is going to be about much more about spending.
Yeah, printing.
And spending money you don't have means printing, and hence why. July last year, and in a way you could argue the dollar was predicting a Democrat win, perhaps, or maybe it was just natural, but the dollar's actually been on the decline since last July. And gold, Bitcoin, anything alternative is only going to... but remember, things don't go up in straight lines.
Right.
And so with this big upsurge now, things go up in zigzags, and what you don't want to do is catch the top of the zigzag.
Yeah.
And that's what happened to a lot of people. Most people, the trend is upwards, but the zigzag, most people are buying at the right up there, the top, and they'll come crashing down again in a perfectly healthy way.
Yeah.
Because zigzags are healthy, but they'll have this there's going to be these sudden drops.
Right.
But that's what the bull likes. The bull likes to throw you off, right? Remember the bull likes you to think it's a bear, and the bear likes to think you to think it's a bull. And so that's what keeps the bull market fueled.
Yeah. And that's what you'll get a lot of these people who are buying high and selling low.
Yeah, they'll say, I lost a fortune on Bitcoin. How can you be in
It's a
Bitcoin?
scam,
Well, because you bought at the top. Yeah, it's a scam. So everything's a scam if you lose money.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. We'll get more on currencies in the second video. But I do want to just mention the dollar's down 17% since March, which is quite big. Bitcoin's looked at as a safe haven now, kind of as you just mentioned. There's going to be dips and dives. You don't have to mention the specific currency. Bitcoin is the leader, I would say, in cryptocurrency, right? That's well known.
Yes.
Do you have a cryptocurrency in mind that's going to follow? So you don't have to say it. Is there one on the radar, though, that people should be sort of scanning for?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's one that's ready to break out, yeah.
Yes.
And again, I'm trying to get as much out of you as possible without not incriminating, but putting you at risk, with your sources.
Right. So. Again, like you do a great job with the services you do. You kind of put me in the spot, to be honest. I mean, some trades I'm privy to, and I'm not going to release publicly. To, like I say, with friends, fine, but not.
It makes sense. I thought the spotlights on you would help, with the whole mood of things.
Yeah,
but
the interrogation effect is not working.
Yeah, but okay, we get it then. So there is something up and coming though that we'll keep an eye on, and if I find that accidentally, it won't be traced back to you.
You won't
right?
trust
me.
Right. Okay.
All right. Well, so that's it for the first episode of this mini series we've got here. Jim, thank you so much for the insight.
Great. Thanks for having me.
We'll talk to you next time.